Hey guys, welcome to another week of Creative Shock podcast. I am one of your hosts, Limelight. We've got Gaz here, and we actually have a special guest here, Shinja. Welcome, Shinja. How are we?
Hello. Doing good. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Not too bad.
Shinja is one of the very big community leaders in Discord, and also runs some stuff with TM32 and does some stuff with Topspot cards as well. Shinja has been doing a lot of work. So Shinja, what actually got you into into cards in general, or into Topspot cards and TM32?
So my journey into trading cards is actually pretty, relatively recent. I used to work in retail and customer service, anything customer service oriented is kind of where I used to work. And I kind of bounced around jobs. And I used to work, I don't know if you know a store named Best Buy. It's kind of like an electronics store.
It's like Target for us.
Target, which is the same. Exactly. Yeah. So it's so I used to work there, and this was back around, I want to say 2018, 2019, something like that. And this is when Pokemon boom kind of happened. It was still kind of starting to go up. This was still pre-COVID though. So a couple of my coworkers, they wanted to become Pokemon breakers, basically, right? So at the time, they were separated by cities. So they're kind of doing what you did, where you will record on their end, they would do on their end, they would hop into a Discord call, they would screen grab both of them, and one of them will do the live rip, the other person will look at it, and then after a while they would switch cameras, and the one person, so it's super back and forth. But they made use of what they had, right? So I think that's pretty cool. And they were getting their supply from the current owner, well, still the owner of Topspot Cards, but back then he was selling out of his van.
Wow, things have changed a lot.
He used to sell off of, I don't know if you guys have OfferUp over there, but it's an app where you look at used goods, basically.
Gumtree.
Like Craigslist?
Kind of like Craigslist. Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like Craigslist. Yeah, so he used to sell that on there, and then so my coworkers would hit him up. They would meet, buy product, and then do their thing, right? In the process of using that relationship, Tops mentioned that, business is doing good. He was kind of entertaining the thought of opening a shop, and my coworker was like, hey, we want to have a studio where both of them can be in the same location to do the live break. It would make things so much easier. So they're like, hey, can we sublease a little room from you so we can help pay off the rent and those kind of stuff. So that was being worked out, and because that was being worked out, I went up to them hey, because I've been watching their streams and stuff, so I was like, hey, I'd be more than happy to volunteer my time to help out with the IT stuff, right? So I'll set up your stream, and then I'll watch the stream from actually in person behind the computer, so that way if any issues arise, I'll try to fix it before the stream explodes. Do all that kind of stuff. So that's how I hopped on initially. And then because I hopped on with them, I developed a relationship with Tops. Because I'm hanging out at the shop all the time now, especially after hours when because that's where our studio was. So it's, hanging out till 4 or 5 a.m. sometimes, and then going home and then waking up at 7 a.m. to go to work.
Your relationship with Topspot is, I think, a bit like my relationship with Good Games. I don't actually work there, but I'm there all the time, running events, organizing stuff.
You basically live there. You work there, but not work there. But not officially.
I work there for free. That's exactly right. Other than, so Pokemon was your in when it comes to card games. Is that what were you a Pokemon fan? That's what's brought you into TCGs, or?
Funnily enough, no. So I knew about Pokemon. Obviously, I played the games when I was a kid and stuff like that. I never played the Pokemon TCG. Or I also had no interest in playing the Pokemon TCG. I was literally only there because I was very heavily invested into the IT portion. So I was very interested in how that stream would work. We had trying to figure out, okay, how does someone buy product from us so that we can do the thing? Because like for example, Whatnot didn't exist back then, right? So all of our streams was on Twitch, where they don't have a live auction platform. So we were trying to figure out, okay, well, I think Shopify. So building a website is probably the best way. They buy off the website. We see that order. We'll do it. We ship it out, right? So part of my job, though, also was obviously keeping the stream open, but also, okay, did an order come in? If it did, go find the product, give it to them, prep it, basically, right? So it kind of streamlines this whole...
So you liked creating the process, so to speak. It wasn't actually the cards. It was like you wanted to make it work into something.
Correct. Yeah.
Could have made anything.
I like the whole behind the scenes kind of stuff. So if I could do the work off camera, that was kind of where I was very interested in. So that's why I joined initially, and then I didn't really bite into Pokemon. I thought it was cool because you're open with your boys and stuff like that. But the thing that broke me was Topps started carrying a game called Rebirth for You, and it's a Japanese trading card game from Bushiroad, who also makes like Weiss and Vanguard and stuff.
Vanguard,
right? Yep. Yeah, but this game specifically was Japan only game, so there was no English translation or anything.
In Japanese, okay.
Yeah, and Rebirth for You primarily focused on like cute chibi art but mostly games. So the game that got me was a little game called Azure Lane. I don't know if you know that. So they got a set, and Topps got a few. So that's when I was like, okay, I'll buy. He was like mainly into Japanese Pokemon, but he wanted to try out the anime stuff, right? So he bought like 6 or 7 boxes, and literally the second he put it on that shelf, he put it on there to prep for tomorrow, right? This was like after hours. I came out of the studio because we ended the stream. I looked at it. I'm like, Topps, don't even bother. I'm buying all of it. So like I bought all of it, and then crazy, I pulled a signature card, and it was from the character that I actually really, really liked, right? So first one's free. That's the one I got, and the rest is history.
Slope, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
here I am. I'm poor.
Exactly.
Crippling debt, depression.
Three years later, here I am.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting thing though, because I used to be a Twitch streamer. I used to stream gacha games. Like I was heavily in gacha games. I used to do 7 Deadly Sins when it first came out. It was probably my biggest success, so to speak. But obviously you've got like Star Rail, you've got Honkai Impact, all these cards. These games actually have been helping TCG a lot, because like they keep crossing these gacha games into these TCGs, and all of a sudden these gacha players are buying cards, and it's actually, I think, genius to have these. Like for example, if that didn't have a Azure Lane, you might not have bought those, right? Which puts you in a scenario where
it probably would have delayed it, because it's funny because Azure Lane is coming to Weiss, which Topps eventually started carrying after the fact because Rebirth did so well, right? So eventually I would have been sucked in. But yes, like if Azure Lane was not at the shop.
TCG is bringing gacha crossovers in, I think, are like genius, and it's actually helping the TCG market a lot more than people think.
Yeah, like, and it's very smart, because if those people are basically gambling, quote unquote, right? Because you're
gacha still, right? It's still
gacha, So if you're playing card games and you're chasing for the signature card, you're doing the same thing.
Exactly right. Which is really, really good.
Exactly.
Jazz, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, it's funny because I came from like the completely different lane to what got me back into TCGs, but it was Gwent, not
Gwent. No, Gwent was good though. I liked Gwent. I actually didn't mind Gwent's gameplay.
Yeah. So okay, got into card games recently. How did you then get into Grand Archive? Was it the Kickstarter? Was it somewhere in between?
Oh man, I tell this story a lot because I do kick myself for it, because so I have never heard of Grand Archive, right? I didn't even bother because so skipping a little ahead, the only card game at that point was I only played Weiss. That was like the only card game I played. I did learn how to play like Digimon, Pokemon, and some other card games, but they didn't really stick with me. So I was spending a bunch of money on Weiss chasing stuff, so I might as well play the game. It's kind of like my thought process, you know?
Yeah,
kind of bit of. It was more like copium that I'm justifying my spending habits, but it is what it is. So I was playing it. So I didn't really look. I don't really look into like Kickstarter games or anything like that because. I don't know. Like Weiss had basically all I really needed. They all had all the shows and the games. All the stuff that I want is already there. So I'm just sticking to that one, right? But at that time, I was actually employed at Topspot Cards.
There you go.
So yeah. So at that time, I was actually employed.
So you moved. Sorry to cut in. You moved from the job you were at to Topspot when you got more into this stuff, right?
Oh yeah, so actually I should probably go into more detail because it's very nice of Tops that he did this.
Okay.
But because I'm at the shop, do the whole live stream break thing until probably like 1 or 2, probably like 1 a.m. And then my two friends would go home because they have lives, but I decided to stay because Tops is there at this point. My other buddy, who is my current boss, but we're skipping ahead here. But his name is Ken, so he was also there hanging out the shop. He was forming a business relationship with Tops, and I was like, okay, well, this is sort of like a very interesting conversation, right? Because they're talking about business and the whole trading card space. I'm like, to me, that's brand new. I've never been exposed to any of that, so I would just sit there and kind of absorb the knowledge, hang out with them until 5 a.m. basically. Third wheel, yeah. I was trying to be the fly on the wall, right? Because I just wanted to see what's happening, and they were very nice to be tolerant of that, right? But after 5 a.m. I would go home, sleep, wake up at 7 a.m. and then I would drive about 45 minutes to work. And I would drive once because like work starts at like 8 or 9, and then at 5 p.m. is when I ended, because at that time I moved out of retail. I went to like a really nice office job that I'm still kind of sad I left because they were very nice, but this is much better. But it was literally driving an hour there, working 8 hours, and then at that time, California traffic is terrible. So on the way home, more specifically, I would drive straight to the shop. So on the way to the shop was about an hour and 10 minutes. And when we got there, so when we get there, I would hang out and talk to Ken and stuff like that in Tops. And then we have a trade show called Frank & Sons, which runs 3 times a week. And they are in the other direction where I just came from. So I would pick up Ken and then drive another 40 minutes to Frank & Sons to go do other things and hang out, and then drive back to the shop and then stay till 5 a.m. and then do it again. Right? So it was just like hanging out with the boys and having fun, but it was a lot of back and forth.
What were you spending more money on, Weiss or petrol?
Definitely.
I was spending a lot of money on gas at that point. This was like after COVID, or I guess technically during COVID. So gas prices were like soaring super high, to where it was like almost hitting $5.30 a gallon here, which is disgusting. And so at the time, Tops was like, look, man, the shop's doing really well. It was only Tops before when he opened the shop, and it was doing well enough to where he hired his first employee. And now it's like, okay, but that first employee was like part-time because she was at school and stuff like that. So he's like, hey, like at this point, I feel a lot better having a full-time employee. I might as well employ you to save you from this bajillion long trek going back and forth because you're coming to the shop anyway. So we talked a little bit, and then he offered me the job. So, and that's how, awesome. So like, I'm super thankful because now I don't have to drive like 8 hours of my life away.
It's definitely good as well, because like obviously this passion is growing and has grown on you, and be able to work in the passion and around the passion, I'm sure that makes your days more enjoyable as well, like than having to just trek to some job that you just want to be able to trek back and continue doing card stuff.
I mean to be fair, the office job that I left was really good. So if I actually never got the offer from Tops, I probably would have stayed there. I would still be there, actually. I really did enjoy working for that place. But it was the drive that really killed it. That was like the big thing. That was like, man, if that place was like 20 minutes away from me, hell yeah, like I would stay. But like an hour is pretty rough.
COVID is definitely like now pretty much most of Like I only have to go in the office once a week, and I'm like, that's made it much more tolerable to actually.
Yeah, they. It was also pretty sad because I put in my 2 weeks notice that hey, I'm leaving so I can work at Tops, and that's right around the time they're like, okay, well, gas is expensive, so we were gonna entertain the idea of work from home kind of thing. I was like, whatever. But I actually get distracted very easy, so I probably would get very distracted if I started working from home. I guess this is fine too.
I mean, I currently work from home, and you see how often I'm on the Discord, so that is true. In Australia, it's become very norm to work from home at the moment, which is interesting.
We won't mention what time we're actually recording this for.
Just in case, just in case we're still on. Potentially, one of us may still be on the clock. Who knows? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Really get paid somehow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now we circle back on how you missed the Grand Archive Kickstarter.
Oh yeah. So now I'm fully employed full time at Tops. Full circle. And we moved. We were doing well enough to where we have to move from our old location to a bigger location. So we did that move, and we got an email from our distributor saying, "Hey, pre-orders for Grand Archive Ultra Edition is available," right? And we're like, yeah, okay. I've never heard of this game before. It is what it is, right? And then I just moved on with my day. And but I did keep it in the back of my head, right? Because it's like, okay, it's a game that someone might ask for. We went to Collecticon Long Beach. I forgot when it was hosted, but we went there for content. So we were shooting videos and just hanging out with people that we know. And lo and behold, they had a giant booth there. And I passed by and I looked at it. I'm like, that's the game our distributor sent an email for. That's pretty sweet. and I walked over. I looked at. They had some sample cards, and I'm like, art's pretty cute. So the waifus are hot or whatever, right? Excellent. Walk away, right?
Wow, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. And then I did the other Collecticon thing, and then off we go. And then our pre-order deadline was at the start of this year. So right around the end of December, Tops was like, okay, well, pre-orders are coming up. So, even if we're not going to order, let's do our due diligence. Let's go do some research. Who knows? Maybe it's a fun game or something like that, right? Because he actually heard of it from the Kickstarter, but he's very I don't want to back any Kickstarter. But he has heard of it, right? So it's like, okay, let's do some research, let's do our due diligence and look at it, right? So he was doing his research, I was doing I was doing mine, I was looking at it, and then I was like, okay, we printed the 2 starter decks that they had, the print and plays. We printed it and we played 1 or 2 games, and we broke a lot of rules, but we thought it was very fun. I actually really I enjoyed playing it, and I was like, okay, the interactions were pretty cool. Also, fun fact, I've never played Magic. I've also never played Flesh and Blood, right? So this is the very first time.
Fresh.
Yeah. So because the game's pretty similar to Magic and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So I've never had that experience. So me playing it, I was like, okay, this is refreshing because I come from Wise, which is a Eastern style game design. So it's like, okay, this is very, very
and
nice.
Weiss is nothing. I've never played Weiss before. Weiss is nothing like Grand Archive, is it? It's nothing like.
It's so luck based. It's like I hated playing it competitive because you could do the best game of your life and play the best round, but there's a mechanic where you can cancel damage just by by revealing the cards, and it's so exactly like Vanguard, yes. Except if you reveal a card called Climax, every damage that you just done in that stack, because they go to temporary zone, it just goes away. And damage is done.
What?
Yeah, and your attack is done. Right. So it's like if I swing you for 8 damage or 8 soul to kill you because I need to hit you for 7. On the 8th card, if you reveal the Climax, it does 0 damage. It cancels the entire stack.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So
how do you play that? What the hell?
Well, you have to. Yeah, you have to play around it. But to me, it's just the fact alone is I don't want to play this competitive because it's it's so luck. Casually though, it's very fun because if you're on 6 and you're about to die and you cancel on that 1, then it's so much fun, right? So casually, casually I'll play it, but I'll never play competitive. So this was a brand new game where it's luck is still there, but it's nothing like Bushy Road game. Nothing like Bushy Road games. So we're like, yeah, I enjoyed it. My, Tops was like, okay, it's very interesting. He kind of liked it. So we're like, okay, cool. Placed our order.
Yep.
And
so
then
was this did this order then change? Or was this the original order?
No. So
because I'm
yeah.
From liking a game to
yeah, well, yeah,
700 trees.
We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. So we placed our order, and actually, I think we placed our order late. Actually, because I think Tops forgot. So I think our deadline was like the 1st or something like that, right? And then he contacted our distro at night, like the first night, around 9 or 10 p.m. or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, don't worry, like I extended the deadline to like whatever, right? So boom, we had our order in, and we're like, okay, that's cool, we got our order in, awesome. And that's right around the time I also joined the GA Discord, because I want to do more research, right? Because now I'm hooked, right? Like now I want to play the game. So I go on, I'm like reading, I start interacting with people. I start lurking in the rules help section. So even though I may not be able to play, I'll try to like understand rulings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we printed. We found out that okay, well the you can print more than just the starter deck, So we start like looking around and like printing our own decks and playing those. And they were also at AX, which I also never knew about the year previous. So a customer came in and gave the demo deck for that they gave out at AX.
Trial one. Yeah.
So we actually now had physical cards to look at too. So we're like, oh, okay, like, the back's pretty cool. It's like embossed, the UV, whatever. And the art's really nice. It's nicely colored. The text is very easy to read. Like, this is fantastic. Awesome. And then, things kept rolling. And then the distributor, for some reason, extended the pre-order again. Of course, which is good. And then we're looking at Kickstarter, and like this is around February, and like Kickstarter still hasn't arrived yet. So everyone's kind of like, is it even gonna come at this point? Like this whole.
There's been so much Kickstarter. There's been so much Kickstarter games that have burned people that like it is very hard. I think Grand Archive, because like as soon as that Kickstarter kind of landed, people kind of felt more at ease just because of the past burnings people have had from other games.
Exactly.
I DM back to Kickstarter. I got told around by Kickstarter at our store, and then showed me the website, and then I'm like, okay, I'll put an order in. And when they said, no, it's Kickstarter, I said, no, I'm good.
That's
how it is.
But this is right around the time where I was moving away from the shop. So I was now no longer full-time working for Tops, and now slowly transitioning to TM32. More full-time. So so now I'm more focused on content versus actually running the shop. And is TM32 connected to Topspot in any way, or is it your own type of thing that you've kind of built up? Sorry, like to throw in another. It's not my channel. I technically work for TM32, or I work for Ken, who runs TM32.
Gotcha. Yep.
And Ken is business partners with Tops.
I feel like we need one of those like police whiteboards.
This red line goes here. Like
where were you yesterday at 7:00? Where were you?
So that's why I always like, even to this day, it's like super weird to explain my personal relationship with TM and Tops, because I can literally work for both for any of them at any time, but 99% of the time I'm currently working for TM32 right now.
Gotcha.
So because of the shift to content, I was like, okay, I was talking to like Silidar and Sit and you guys and stuff more often. So I think like I was literally racking up, I don't know what it is, but like the level thing, I was like literally climbing that level thing really fast because I was in there like 24/7, because again, I was hooked, right? So I'm just communicating and chatting and talking. And unfortunately I kind of forgot how or when this happened, but Silodar checked out our YouTube channel, and at that time we were doing like really silly Pokemon stuff and box breaks and stuff like that, using our studio like this, for example.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I really, really like your quality of your videos. If I send you a box, would you do a video? Right, and this was the Kickstarter box, and so I was like,
nice.
Hell yeah! like of course,
no thanks, I'm alright. No thanks, okay. I'm all good, thank you. Though.
Yeah, I don't need it. Yeah, it's fine. I gotta play hard to get,
that's it. Two boxes.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, hell yeah! Like, send me a box, I'll do a video. But I kind of set that out of like. Just immediately without really thinking about it. So the box got sent out. I'm like, what am I gonna do for this video? Because something about TM32 is like, we want to be different, right? Because we could just do a normal box break of like me sitting here, put it down, we'll do the rip and stuff like that, which I guess like with the higher quality camera, it would make a nicer video anyway. But that's not what Ken wants, right? Like Ken wants the channel to be different. Yeah, Ken wants it to be unique. We want to be known for something. So we sat down and I'm like, okay, wouldn't it be cool to get opinions about a brand new game that I'm passionate about, but maybe someone may not be, from actual people who have more experience than I did at this time, which currently would have been like experienced players or LGS owners. And then because we're here and it's easy, my own boss Tops, right? So we're like, okay, like that's when we started hitting up like card owners or shop owners and stuff like that. And if you check out our channel, that's one of the very first Grand Archive videos that we did post.
Yeah.
And that time, the card quality was amazing. The people seemed to generally like it. At that time, I was also playing a little bit more, actually doing the print and plays still. And Tops also was sold, right? So he now also has physical cards in his hand. He is now looking at the I guess finished product, and he goes. And then he also did his own research on the company, and they're super into like the OP support and supporting store owners and LGSs. So he was like, okay, cool, awesome. We're both hooked. Like he's hooked, I'm hooked. We're good. Plus, like Weaves of the Shore is a pretty memey name for a company. So, and here at the shop we have a culture of being memey, right? So we just like we love it.
Perfect.
Like Path of Silver too. Like your SIGs are not worth a bajillion points. Hell yeah, let's go for it, right?
It's definitely a strong part for Australia as well. Is that because like for example, I was getting into My Hero 2 years ago, and they just gave zero organization zero organized play here. The fact that same with Weaves of the Shore, they were instantly like, all right, well, organized play is going to be here. We're happy to do organized play everywhere, etc. That like brings in the Australians, because we are used to being kind of semi-shafted with that stuff. So just like you, once we knew there was going to be good organized play, people were willing to get more involved as well.
Yeah, which was I say that because our store actually doesn't focus on players, which is kind of weird to say for a trading card game, because we primarily focus on collectors and people who rip and chase and stuff like that. So, like for example, we don't carry singles, or at least we didn't until Grand Archive. But we didn't have singles to sell people. We only had sealed product. That's all we did, right? Yeah. And I guess like players can come in and use the space, but we would prioritize the people who would buy product and rip it at the store. So that's where the table space would go. So it was a fun, like, OP support was great, but wasn't like our big selling point, right? The big focus was like, okay, they seem to really understand that like the card game will live or die by the game store, and Tops is very, very experienced with card, like everything, how to run the business, how to do the trading, how to play, whatever, right? So when he saw that, he was like, yep, hell yeah, let's go for it, right? And this was right around February going into March, and he was like contemplating like, okay, how many do I order? But I'm putting it off because our pre-order due date is forever from now. So let's just go for it. Yeah. Because we're also running Weiss and Japanese Pokemon, and freaking Weiss is brutal because it's like 4 releases a month or something like that. So we're just pumping and burning, and any money we receive immediately goes to another Weiss set, and then that money comes in and goes to another Weiss set, So it's like money just coming in and out. And then I forgot what triggered it, But he was like, yeah, I don't think there's going to be enough supply because I think the game is going to take off. So he's like,
he was on the pulse.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going to order a lot. I'm just gonna go, balls to the wall. I'm just gonna go for it. And so he placed his order in. I actually didn't even know how much he ordered because, again, at the time I wasn't working for Tops officially. I was working for Ken.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yep, I ordered a lot." I was like, "Excellent, we ordered a lot." And then I'm putting in my personal 3 cases, and then I'll forget about it, right? And I'm interacting. Yeah. And then, lo and behold,
and then you have a throne. So
and lo and behold, Ultra came in. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to this show to pick it up." It takes 2 trips, by the way. I was like, "Okay,"
Whoa.
Yeah, he has a van, by the way, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't fit everything in it." Yeah, so he came to the shop. We're like, "Yeah, it'd be really funny if we advertised we had Grand Archive by sitting on a throne." We're like, Let's do it.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he came in, we built that throne, and that picture was born.
So how's Ultra Release been in America? Because obviously with the podcast we've talked about how in Australia we've got no stock. Like everything's been sold out. Everyone wants stock, but it is a little bit different in America. There are people still with stock. So how's the release gone so far?
I think the release is going good. I mean, we still, like, for example, our locals. Even on Mother's Day, it was like 16 to 18 people, which all bad sons. You should go celebrate, But but we were there, and vibing. And I think if it wasn't a holiday, I think our count would go to like 24 or maybe 26 or something like that.
Yeah,
which is pretty good on a Sunday, right? And demand for singles is good. I know that Yeti Gaming, for example, is like almost out. If not, he's already out for a lot of the staple cards. And people are just constantly asking. We're getting DMs of like, "Hey, do you have X or YZ card?" Product is like slowly coming out as well. So it's like demand is good and it's doing really well. I think because the US is so big and there's a lot more stores, there's just more supply. So it's currently kind of meeting it right now, but eventually the supply is just gonna disappear one by one.
Yeah. Especially if second wave's going to be a while off, I feel as though, because like in the last 2 days we've had something like 300 400 people join the Discord. Like we celebrated 5k and I think we're at like 5.4 or 5.3k now. And like a couple days. Those people will continue to avalanche, so it'll be like one day you're just going to wake up and you're going to have like no boxes left. They're just going to be gone.
And that's scary. And then I'll jump on Gator, look at the top decks, and go, "Okay, they're the cards I need." And then that's why dungeon guides just go missing.
It was kind of painful. So Grand Archive, part of the store was like thinking was like, okay, we'll actually just try to carry singles for this game. So the very first night, we got all our stuff. We opened a lot of cases, but so the store didn't pull any SIGs out of all those cases, which is very disappointing. Which kind of made us sad. But we also didn't pull a lot of what I knew of as like, okay, these are probably really good cards to have based off of previous Discord tournaments and stuff like that. And we didn't pull very many of them. Yeah. So I was like, oh, like that's going to be rough.
Yeah, especially because like I think the top 3 decks currently are running 3 to 4 dungeon guides, and people thought they would come in the old starter decks, and they did not. So people are like, "Oh, well, I need this card. There is none."
Yeah. I think we pulled like 12 or so dungeon guides out of like all of our bajillion cases we opened.
That's crazy.
That's kind of which is kind of sad.
Yeah, it's not much at all. So from going from, as you said, like the store was kind of collector focused, from going like that to having, I think you had a release event, you had like 40 people or something, right? It was, I saw the video. There was people playing out the front in a truck. There's people playing on the floor. There's people playing on the roof. People in the street, yeah. Like, how did it feel? Like, how did Topspot feel going from a collector focused store to now having this huge locals that is forming?
Even now, I actually don't even know because that turnout was ridiculous. And that's like an understatement. Because I've hosted a Learn to Play event at the store for the game twice before the release event. One that was really far back, and then the other one was like a week before the launch. And both of them had about 25, 30 people, which for a learn to play event, using print and play decks, using paper like proxy decks was a lot of people. So I was like, okay, with release, we might get a little bit more people, but you got Southern California is a little spoiled. We have a lot of card shops here. And a few of them are massive, right? So it's like, okay, well, they're also carrying Grand Archive. They probably will attract most of the players because they're known for being player stores. So okay, like we'll probably our cap is probably like 45 people or something like that. Yeah, like we'll just leave that at, and we'll figure it out. We're not going to do signups beforehand because there's no way we're going to hit cap. We're not going to do signups. You just come to the store to do the signup. We're like, okay, that was the plan.
Walk in, you're all good. Don't worry about it.
We're like,
someone needs it. And then you need a megaphone.
The megaphone we already had, actually. We already had that one. But it was literally like, because I said food would be provided for like Costco Pizza or whatever. So around like 4 o'clock, I was like finishing up teaching someone how to play so they can actually play in the tournament. And then literally one after the other, people start walking into the door, asking like, hey, can I sign in and sign up? We're like, sure, awesome. And like, table started filling up, and Bifol was there too. He was there bright and early. And he was also seeing people just fill up. We're like, oh, that's a lot of people, And around like 4:15-ish, so 15 minutes later, I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to go get our pizza, like whatever. And I leave. I get a call from Tops as I'm waiting in line and goes, yo, man, there's literally no space for you to put the pizza anymore because all the tables are used, all the chairs are used. People are playing on the floor. People are playing outside. There's no more chairs. And I physically cannot have more people in the store. Otherwise, it literally is a fire hazard. And Lord. People are still trying to come in.
Riding in the streets.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm like, what is going on? Because our capacity was like 45, but we could fit 50-ish people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we weren't prepared for it.
Like, squish a little, squish them like sardines a little bit. We can get in a little much. But so that's like 50 people. So we turned away a lot of people. And I had to also, we blasted out on our personal Discord that, hey, if you're coming for Grand Archive, you're not here yet, I'm sorry, you're not coming in. Like that. I had to blast that out before people started coming, and I was getting DMs like, hey, can I still come? I'm like, no. Like I was literally turning people away from the DMs too. So
holy moly.
I think if everyone showed up, I think we would have had like 60 to 65 people, which is pretty crazy, but
it's like equal to like a small regionals in like Australia, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. It was like, what is happening? And in hindsight, I probably should have expected that, because of how the hype for the game was like almost exponentially growing. But I was like on pure copium, like our store is small, we don't need we're not a player store, like people are not gonna come for us, we're okay, and we learned,
I think also you will have your locals continuing to grow as more people learn about it. So you might even get to a point if you're seeing it 2025 now. You said like roughly
something like that. I'm gonna see again this coming Sunday when we host another locals. See if like the player group is like staying, maybe lowering, or maybe growing. Like I don't know yet because it's only been technically it's only been 1 week because I don't count Mother's Day. You know what I mean. So it's like we'll see what the growth is like.
What happens if you've got consistently 45 plus people wanting to play every week?
I've got an idea.
Yeah. Shoot.
You get a bunch of lost spirits, and like all the spirits, and then anyone that pulls a lost spirit, unfortunate, you got to leave. You just like shuffle up.
You're lost. That'd be pretty
lost. Okay. Yeah, actually, that'd be pretty funny. Actually, that would be pretty cool. Yeah. Well, actually, the shop is planning to move.
Awesome.
We were planning to move before Grand Archive anyway, but this is like, okay, we're kind of confirming it a little bit.
Yeah.
So hopefully the next spot is going to have more play space. So awesome. If the local scene does start to grow a lot, then we should be okay. But currently doesn't look like we're gonna hit our cap again unless we host another like big event. But again, it's just like we'll have to kind of see.
Yeah, fair enough. What are you most hyped for in the next, I guess, set FTC? And are you guys like going? Is there gonna be another throne made of FTC?
I don't know. Probably not. Mainly because it's set 2. It's a supplementary set, so we may not need as much. Plus, the box count also did increase for case.
Next minute, he's gonna have like 40 cases at 18 boxes a case. It's like, I'm back, baby. I'm sitting on it. Let's go.
No, you need less now because it's a fractured crown. So the crown's got to be like half collapsed.
Oh, it's like a damaged crown. Actually,
you have to do a photo. Yeah.
Actually, that would be pretty cool. I don't know what because Topps does the ordering for the store, especially in that quantity. TM32 might order some for like Whatnot or more content oriented inventory.
What cards are you looking forward to so far from FTC?
Definitely the SIG. I know Ken really wants the dragon. I think his name is like Carl or whatever, but we call him Carl.
It's Carl.
Yep,
it's Carl. Yeah, someone called the dragon Carl, and now that's just the name now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we heard that name. We're like, it's Carl now. I can't unsee it. I can't unhear it. It's Carl now. Yeah. I mean, I'm just a simp. I'm going straight for Merlin. That's who. I mean, I'm going for Merlin now, but I haven't even pulled it yet in set 1. So.
Hey, we haven't pulled any SIGs yet, so don't worry. We're also on
the starter deck line.
Actually, technically, I did pull I actually pulled pretty much all the SIGs in Alter. It's just not for me. I pulled it for other people because we were hosting a Whatnot stream. And ratios don't exist, by the way, because 1 in 30, and I get 1 every case on that stream.
How about 0 from 90?
No. I took all that luck.
Yeah, we got 90 boxes open, 0-6.
Yeah, ratios don't exist. You either
Either you hit or you don't hit, right?
It's 1 in 30 bucks. Nah, bro, it's 50%, dude. You either hit or you don't.
If there's someone having a high, then there's us in Australia. Just having that low.
Yeah, someone is crying. Oh man, it's funny though because you say that because on our stream, people were hitting really nice. So I wanted our Whatnot stream to be hype, so we did like. You pull a Merlin SIG, I'll send you a booster case for free.
Right? Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy.
And you get to keep Merlin. It's not like I get to keep it. So you'll not only get the Merlin, but you'll get an entire case, right?
Wow.
Freaking Ver pulls it. First box of the stream. First box. And it was like, okay, well, like I'm just, off you go, the case, right? And it's the first stream. And then
that's karma for Gator. So like,
he deserves it. But man, I was like, are you kidding me, man? Come on, it's literally the first box of the stream.
And we're closed, guys. Close it off. We're done.
We're done. We're done. Yeah, we're like, it's funny because like I saw that, I was like, 1 in 30 though. Okay, we hit the 130 boxes in, like we'll be fine. And then we opened 6. Awesome. We opened the next case. First box was the next SIG. I was like, are you kidding me? Thankfully, I only did Merlin gets a SIG, so all the other SIGs only get a box, which is still pretty good. But yeah, so I was like, okay, that's enough. Off you go. That's another box. You
want a new car.
yeah. And we wanted our goal for that stream was to have product accessible. Because like if your store didn't order any or only ordered a little, like we were selling ship only boxes at MAP. I was selling starter decks at $10, which is like you pay. Well, you do have to pay for shipping and tax, but $10 for a starter deck was ridiculous, right? It was cheap. And if you wanted to go for the bounty that we had, then you pay a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So it's all based off what you want to do. And we did sell a lot when we streamed at midnight, but it was literally 4 cases in a row, and it was just like, oh, you get a SIG, you get a SIG, you get a box, you get a box. So
that's
like
crazy.
I was like, dude, that's so nuts.
I guess
because
like,
I thought I went for one.
Yeah, you helping out the community like that though, because like the same here, we have a lot of stores that don't have stock, so we've been trying our best to help them out. But like you obviously also understand that, and doing that obviously does help the community a lot where you are. So like it is an appreciative thing.
Yeah, and thankfully I have like Topps obviously he's very experienced, so he knows that, and Ken doesn't run a store, but he's very experienced with business, and he was in the card space for a long time as well, so he also knows that. So I was very had a really good opportunity because now I'm getting experience from 2 really good people in the space.
Yeah.
So I was starting to learn that, okay, like this is a very good thing to do, so we probably should do that. And it didn't happen the first stream because I didn't get to rip my personal one, but on a subsequent stream, I did, I opened my personal stuff. I opened like a display of starter decks too and stuff like that. And the next Whatnot stream, I'm like, okay, as long as you're okay with dead starter decks, if you did not get one or you want one, I will send it to you with your order.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it's like you place an order for like... Yeah, you place an order for like a few packs or whatever, and then you're like, hey, can I get like a Rye starter deck? Like, hell yeah, like I'll just dump it in there and off it goes.
Just help me out.
Yeah, because we want you to get excited for the game. We want you to actually play the game too. Sometimes you send like 2 or 3 because like, you know, hell yeah, play with your friends too. You know, gather more people.
And those small things do go a long way. Like, you know, as I was saying before, people like yourself, Gaz, me, other people in the community, there's people from all around America that are doing things like that. And that's what we do need to help build the community as a whole. Because once, as I said before, it comes around full circle. The more people that are playing the game, the more excitement and the more people that are going to come in and play at locals and stuff like that.
And then
it's helping build it as a whole.
Exactly. And then, you know, just to like make to kick the elephant out of the room, it's like, okay, it does come back full circle because if they're now in the game, they'll also buy products, right? Exactly. So our thinking is, okay, cool, they will come back hopefully to us, but if not, whatever, you know, they buy the product from a store, their store or whatever. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, well, we will wrap it up there. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Shinja. Can we just give a shout out? So Shinja works with TM32. They have amazing content, GA content, Pokemon content. It is quite hilarious. When Shinja,
Link
by the way,
will be in the description
below.
Yeah. And also, I'll shout out Topspot Cards for letting beautiful studio using and doing everything they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they are. I think if I'm correct, that's where the bounty's coming from for the marketplace tournament, right? Top is Topspot on the Discord, right?
Correct. So Top's he really believes in water. Like water isn't doing so well right now.
I'm playing water. I'm playing water for it.
I am playing water or baiting people to think I'm playing water.
That tournament is going to be the slowest tournament because everyone's going to be on water to get the bounty. So
they want that Kofium, bro. They want the gold bags.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Shinja. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone. Hopefully you enjoy the stream of the podcast, and we'll speak to you next week. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.